Dr. Zakov said,
Let me ask you something which has nothing to do with food. When you grabbed me, something was said about my intelligence, my intellect. Granted, I'm one of the more brilliant men in the universe. Still, it's certain my reputation doesn't extend to Mongo.
That is true, Dr. Zakov. We believe one with your mental capacities can do much to aid the sorcerer's cause.
But how did you know for sure I had such mental capacities?
The lean sorcerer spread out his hands. We read your mind. We see its dimensions. We learn your name. He produced a large knife and said, I am going to cut your bonds now. Brother Anmar will be here soon, and you'll be dining with him.
If he brings any chow, said Zakov.
He has provisions, no need to worry.
You can communicate? Mind to mind?
Yes, we worked out the basic principles before Ming banished us.
Ming would be who?
The emperor of the new kingdom. After successfully overthrowing and conquering the legitimate governments of this area, he outlawed those of us who wouldn't work for him.
This Ming fellow uses magic and sorcery to run his empire?
We were not always sorcerers. You must forgive my associate. He sometimes overdoes the mystifying element in our guise. A tall, light-haired man of 40 had entered the cave. He wore a robe similar to the other sorcerers, hood back off his head. Throwing down a rough cloth sack of supplies, he said, I am Brother Anmar. I'm happy to have a man of your intellect among us, Dr. Zakov. I'm afraid for the moment we must keep you with us. There is a particular problem we need a solution to, and you seem qualified to lend a hand. In the morning we will begin our journey to the Forest Kingdom.
What sort of problem? Asked Zakov.
It involves a weapon, a new type of blaster cannon for aircraft, which is not turning out as expected.
Weapons are right up my alley,
said Zakov in his resounding voice.
But I didn't come to Mongo alone. Have you plucked that fact out of my head yet?
Yes, I know about Dale Arden and Flash Gordon, replied the chief sorcerer. I am sorry we can't spare you yet to search for them.
Do you know if they're alive and kicking, and where they might be? Zakov asked.
Anmar gave a negative shake of his head. We haven't devised an attachment yet, allowing us to tap the particular extrasensory ability needed to find out such information.
Attachment? Bellowed the doctor. You've been trying to con me, is that it? You're not magicians at all, you're...
Exactly, said Anmar. We're scientists. Light and warmth spilled out of the open doorway of the Heart and Arrow. The room they entered was large, with a beamed ceiling and a big stone fireplace. There were a dozen round wooden tables around the room, a long serving bar against the near wall. 2 men in dark tunics and high-top muddy boots sat at a table hunched over copper tankards of ale. Behind the bar, giving most of his attention to tapping a fresh keg of ale, was the proprietor. He was fat, with a striped apron tied around his flabby waist.
Good evening to you, Han,
he said, as he glanced their way.
We wish a private dining room, said Han. My friend has travelled a good long way from a far-off territory. He's worn and hungry. He lowered his voice. Later, we would appreciate a small discussion with you.
Take any room you fancy, Han. As you observe, we're not doing a thriving business this night.
Drumming his fingers slowly on the bar, Han said,
I think we must celebrate my friend's safe arrival. Do you have any of your special brandy left in stock?
The innkeeper's left eyelid fluttered for an instant.
The special brandy? Aye, that I do, Han. As the gods would have it, a new supply has found its way to me this very day. Now and again a bottle or two reaches me by way of the great river.
Flash grinned.
We will dine in that room beyond the fireplace,
Han told the fat innkeeper.
When you have the brandy ready, serve it there, if you will.
The small dining room had whitewashed plaster walls, a beamed ceiling, and a good-sized fireplace of its own. "I'll fix things so we can warm ourselves, Outlander," said Han as he shuffled to the fireplace. Kneeling, he put a wax match to the kindling beneath the crossed logs. "There. It will soon be blazing heartily." The landlord coughed politely from the doorway. "Here is the brandy. You will find, sir, it compares favorably with the best you have ever sampled." "Of that I'm sure," Flash replied, taking one of the glasses from the tray the fat man held out toward him. Han took the remaining glass, sniffing at it. "Ah, a wonderful scent to it," he said. "I will send the girl to take your order," said the landlord, as he withdrew and shut the door. "Well," said Flash, raising his glass toward the guide, "cheers." Han hesitated, rubbing at his stomach. "You must forgive me, Outlander. The shock of our recent brush with death has just caught up with me. I feel I must sit quietly for a moment or two. Please, though, you go ahead and enjoy your brandy." "Very well, then." Flash turned to look into the now crackling fire. When he turned again to face Han, his glass was empty. "You were right," he said. "It's an excellent—" Han, poised on the edge of his chair, watched him closely. "What is wrong, Outlander?" I don't... Flash swung one hand out. He dropped to his knees, then toppled over on his side and lay still. "There's no risk, I'm telling you." Han paced the wooden floor, carefully avoiding the still, sprawled Flash. "I've had much practice deceiving Captain Hakes." "Aye, but the captain surely knows this Outlander must have a weapon of an exceptional sort," said the landlord. "You told me yourself they found one on the girl's person while they were tying her." "I will simply tell him of our struggle with the salamander," said Han. "The stranger's pistol was lost during that fearsome encounter. So far I have been paid a mere 50 mingots for entrapping this Outlander. There's no calculating what price the pistol might bring in certain quarters. I am sure the sorcerers would like to bid on it, and most certainly the Lion Men." "Lion Men," snorted the innkeeper. "Threadbare rebels who live like savages in the wilds and dream of the overthrow of Ming. Why, they could not afford the price of a dinner at the Hard and Arrow, let alone something such as that pistol." "There is also Prince Baron," said Han. The fat innkeeper shook his head. "He and his followers are still cowering in the Forest Kingdom, Han, fearful of the wrath of Ming." "Perhaps. At any rate, I will take the pistol now, for I have but little time to hide it safely before we carry this Outlander down to the police ship at the wharf." "He's going to be heavy, I wager," said the landlord. "Lately, whenever I lift anything heavy, I get this frightful pain all across my—" "Let me save you the trouble, then," said Flash, bounding to his feet. "And here, Harn, is the pistol you're so anxious about." He pointed the weapon at the approaching guide and grinned. "I poured the brandy into the fireplace and only pretended to be unconscious. I had an uncle back on the planet Earth who warned me never to drink with strangers." "You have no chance, Outlander. The royal police know that the young woman had 2 men with her. They will not rest until they have the both of you." "As of now, they only have the girl?" "So I have been led to believe." "And she is in the capital?" "Aye, where you also will soon be," said Han. Flash reached back into his rucksack, brought out a small coil of plastic rope and said, "Tie up your friend here, landlord. Gag him well. Then I'll do the same for you. Be quick about it. I have an appointment with the royal police." From some of the windows of the wharf town came fuzzy yellow light, and out of one ramshackle building, smoke and noise and gruff laughter came tumbling. A moment after Flash passed its wide-open doorway, someone came flying out into the night to land with a huge, thumping splash in the muddy lane. "We may not love Ming here, but we'll have none of your revolutionary talk," shouted an angry voice from the tavern. "He needs more of a lesson, I'm thinking," cried another rough voice. "Let's teach him a good one, the shaggy rogue." Flash had turned to watch.
The man on the ground was big and broad, wearing a leather tunic and a short kilt-like garment. He had a great mane of yellow hair, a thick beard to match, and a 3-foot-long tail with a tuft of yellow fur at its tip.
"Come on, then,"
challenged the Lion Man.
"Let us see how you fare against Tun."
A large man with a spiky black beard said,
"You've got no fight in you, you overgrown tabby."
Shoulders hunched, he came stalking toward the Lion Man. Another man materialized out of the swirling fog, moving silently toward the Lion Man's back, carrying in his hand a short wooden club.
"Behind you!"
warned Flash. Without turning, the Lion Man dropped to his knees. His tail slapped at his unseen assailant as the man's swung club hit nothing but air. Before Tun could rise, the black-bearded man leaped atop him. Another man ran from the inn to join the struggling pile. One more big man, this one with a soiled black patch over one eye, hurtled out of the cafe and piled on. Flash bounded to the struggling mound of men.
"This isn't a fair contest,"
he said, as he grabbed hold of the man with the eye patch. He yanked the big man free of the tangle, sent him stumbling toward the hazy doorway of the inn.
"Much obliged,"
gasped Tun.
"I can handle these other two."
A hand shoved his face down into the mud. Flash caught another man by the shoulders. He sent him cartwheeling into the fog. Seconds later, there was the sound of a body breaking through rotten wood. A great splash followed.
"Might as well get rid of this last one,"
said Flash. He reached out toward the bearded man who was slamming Tun's shaggy head against the ground. Seconds later, the man was lying unconscious on the roadway. The Lion Man was running his big hands over himself.
"I don't seem to have any more welts or lumps than I did when I started. They nearly put one over on Tun that time."
With a grunt, he rose up off the floor.
"That's who I am, Tun. My people are called the Lion Men, a proud and fierce race, as you've no doubt guessed."
He held out his hand. Shaking it, Flash said, "I'm Flash Gordon." The Lion Man studied him for a moment.
"I've not exactly seen your like before, Flash. Where are you from?"
"From a planet called Earth," replied Flash. He explained his mission to Tun, told him of the crash of the survey ship, and of his subsequent search for Dr. Zakov and Dale.
"Well, my friend," said Tun when he had finished, "I owe you a favor. You may need a little help getting hold of that police airship. Allow me to accompany you to the wharf."
"With pleasure," grinned Flash, and together they made their way through the dark, deserted streets to the riverside. They searched the area of the docks for nearly an hour without success. There was no sign of any police airship.
"What is your plan now, my friend?"
asked Tun. "I have to find out what's become of Dale. I have to reach the capital somehow."
"You will have a tough time of it. Though I know well you can handle yourself, yet to go up against merciless Ming single-handed, it is a difficult path you have chosen. I wish I could come along, but for a Lion Man to show himself in the capital would mean death. This tale of mine is most difficult to disguise. I think my best course lies in rejoining my people."
"How far must you travel to rejoin them?"
"The country of the Lion Men lies 100 miles to the south of us. A half-day's march will bring us to a riverside town named Tintura. I had better part with you there and return to my own land. I came to these parts to raise support for our struggle against Ming, but I think now that the best plan for my people is to unite with Prince Baron."
"Who is Prince Baron?" asked Flash. "I heard his name mentioned in the Heart and Arrow."
"Prince Baron is the rightful ruler of this part of Mongo. Ming forced his father from the throne and executed him. He lives in exile in the forest kingdom of Arborea, where he has steadily been gathering followers."
"And do you think that I shall be able to get to the capital from Tintura?"
"More easily than from here. Tintura is a smuggling port, and all manner of small ships sail down into the capital with no questions asked."
"All right," said Flash. "Let's try to get some rest until the rain stops, and then get on our way."